Start feeling your exhale more. So if you'd known me since my early 20s, I've been talking about space for a long time, even before I started practicing yoga. And if you've been in my classes, and my trainings, you'd know that I'm working on all sorts of ways of talking about the space between the spaces, like the place um where there actually is more freedom, not just loss, right? Where resiliency is without control. Like there are all these lines that you've maybe heard me say over the years that are like trying to articulate some of that, right? And I keep thinking about a line about, one of the places, I don't even know where. I mean, I'm not a yogic scholar, so nor do I want to be. I don't want to pollute my practice with too many abstract articulations, but I remember hearing, no, I'm even forgetting the line, but like that one of the things that I tend to say is that space is the conduit of subtle awareness, right? It's not exactly control. The more you try to control things or squeeze things, the less you receive, right? And so the mind, so you hear me talk about the subtle body, like it's something that has to be received. It can never be asserted. Lines that are all, if you listen to a lot of my lines over the years, they're all trying to aim at something in particular, right? But I don't know how, there's not one way to say it. So as you exhale, right, just let the space around you, like, and at first it looks like an exhalation is a compression, right? Like a disintegrate. Just let it be that, right? But as you do that, let your awareness and acceptance, see, it makes me smile, like your awareness and acceptance of everything around you, right? And one of the great things about, I think, what asana teaches you is that, in fact, if you're being even more congruent with your exhale, there is a rise. So the spine actually extends on exhalation. So, or it can extend. So instead of just following the change of your inner space, right, on exhale, like a disintegration, right? Exhale more from the back ribs and feel on the exhale that your spine is actually also extending. So it doesn't just have to be a collapse. Asana begins. The spine can come into upright even when there's a dropping. So sometime I'm going to try to write that. I think lifting the chest as you exhale is a yogic version of the myth of Sisyphus. And the rise doesn't have to be defiant, right? Right. So you exhale from the back ribs. Your spine comes into alertness. And it's not actually defiance of the dissipation. It's just attention to what's happening. You're actually, when you extend slightly in your spinal energy rather than collapse, you're actually being more congruent with the universe, not less. course, feel your sitting bones in your feet. Of course, create awareness around so you can feel the happening. Create enough stability so the mind can receive, so the brain lets more into the mind. So one of the descriptions that's coming in my book said, I suspect that space, an empty space in particular, is the connective tissue. It's not just the gap between subject and object. That part of the realization of asana is, and of yoga in general, is to realize that the empty space is the connective tissue between you and objects. So, of course, the inhalation expands one sense of space because you take more volume into your torso. Keep aware of that as the spine comes into alert on exhalation. Soften the jaw, the inside of the mouth. But as you feel that, let the relief be nourishment and connective tissue rather than collapse. What if the space itself were alive? The quiet space that usually brings you towards sleep. What if it had eyes? How could you support the perception of the connective tissue between subject and object? Keep the jaw soft. I hope most of you have stopped listening to my words and are just engaged in feeling, in the expansion and the alertness and the connection. What's in front of you, what's behind you, the rhythm of your happening. Stay full. Stay empty. Your mind's not the observer. Let go of your day. Prepare your mind to do yoga. Good. And then release. Feel the drop. Now rise the sternum up. To do that gracefully, you better stay connected to your sitting bones and to your feet. As you rise the sternum up, try to even add a little bit more lift right underneath the collarbones, because that changes the inner edge of the shoulder blades, which shows you the rain gently falling all the way down through your body again as the fire is rising up. Drop your chin in homage to what's happening. Let your mind's activity and the brain quiet down and sink towards the earth as the life in you rises through the spine. Feel your inhalation touch your ribs, nudge the ribs, especially the back ribs. Your mind was never the observer. Be full, be strong, be empty, be strong. Raise your head up with closed eyes. Open your eyes. So, this idea that maybe the connective tissue. Some of you that have been here over the last year, so I've said, so have you been practicing trying to kiss trees from 20 feet? Or touch a tree from 20 feet? Like, how would you touch a tree from distance? Right? Or touch an eye, if you want to make it an object in your house. It helps me to try to be in a different, stranger relationship to things in nature, right? Because of course, if my mind says, well, I can never touch a tree from distance, what are you talking about? Right? That's not how the universe works. I claim bullshit on that. It's not how your mind works. Right? So just sit for a second and imagine, or I don't even think it's imagine, open. And if it helps you to focus on that, but I'm looking at a tree out my window, right? So that's why I'm keeping centered on the tree, but I want to have the energy, the life force in me, not led by my mind, but I want the life force in me to reach out to an object, right? I can tell you right now, if I drop my chest, I'm not going to be as successful at it. I lose the tree as soon as I drop, right? When I actually extend the spine and open, right? Then the space between me and the tree isn't just the gap, it's the bridge. If I super clench my jaw, I'm not going to feel as connected to the tree, right? So I need to soften the organs of perception or touch my own inward emptiness, quiet down, let the spine emanate out. I don't get to particularly grab the tree. That's what my physical body does. But the space between me and the tree becomes a window. The space always invites. The window always invites. It's this type of thing that I teach to people that are missing limbs, right? How to extend out through their missing limb. From the spine out to expression. So I'm exhaling this, extending my spine. I warned you I was strange today. Except, isn't it kind of scary that it's not that strange what I'm saying? It's kind of exactly the opposite of it. It's wait, You mean I'm actually in space and participating with the happening all the time? Yeah. Bring your hands into prayer if you can. Otherwise, put him equal and go like, hey, I better find the midline. This is getting kind of weird. I better find my own midline. Let my hands be a manifestation of my spine. Let my hands be an outer manifestation of the empty space in the center of my chest. Then I'm going to hear in the center of my chest, the space in the center of my chest. Then I'm going to hear the yogis say, the seat of consciousness is the center of the chest. Wait, that's cool. And then as I see the center of my chest connected to my hands, then I can see the alertness in my mid-back. The straight up and downness of my spine, my hands, and my kidneys. Tadasana. My sitting bones are my feet. My feet are my feet. I expand on inhalation. I exhale through the midline into expression, and I touch the tree. Good, and then release. Oh dear. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Oh my God, that Sanford guy, he's delusional. Maybe. I'm not sure. Lift up. So why do you think you practice things over and over? So I'm moving around, right? I'm doing it on purpose because I want to get this kind of playful movement. When you get that focus as intense, you gotta, So I was thinking about this. This is like, again, you guys are getting, I'm in what I think will be the final version of the rough draft of the book I'm writing. So lots of description are coming now, right? So I'm moving my spine here. And as I lift up a little bit, I make sure I feel the weight of my sitting bones down, so my spine gets put into traction, because I know if I can open my spine enough, I can touch the tree, right? If it's the space in my spine that touches everything, it's not my mind. Remember, I've said the mind's not the observer, right? So what would be the observer if it's not your mind? So I'm opening up the rib cage and I'm going like, okay, what the hell? Let's go with this idea for a second that the mind's not the observer. What's left? Right? What else could it be? Huh. You put it that way, it's kind of obvious, isn't it? What the observer is? Except I can't name it exactly. Don't get to. Right? So I'm going back and forth. Inhale up, and I'm making every rhythm here, because why wouldn't you want rhythm, man? Not that we should ever truly follow Nietzsche, but his line, life without music is a mistake. It's a pretty good line, right? If you don't have freaking rhythm here, oh my God, you're going straight to hell, right? You got to have rhythm, right? So movement. And then one of the things that I found with disability is that I accepted too much a loss of rhythm into my disability, right? Too much of a lot. I thought, because I had a very narrow conception of rhythm, right? I thought it had to be coordinated movement. And if I couldn't coordinate my movement with my lower body, how could I And because my balance was so challenged, how could I feel rhythm all the way? What a dumbass that was. I was a dumbass back then, right? So now I'm going back and forth a little bit and going, okay, I could just go back and forth like it doesn't matter. Like, or I could go, wait, let's make it a little bit more rhythmic, like a little bit more sensual. Because why wouldn't you? What is the source of connection? How does my empty space stay connected? Open this part here, open it up, right? Even turn it towards the sky a little bit, right? But now figure out, like when I do this, I have a hard time feeling my left leg over here. I open it because all the drama's over here, right? So like, wait, I'm gonna make sure I stay grounded in my left sitting bone and do this. So I'm just gonna, my mind's gonna follow the drama. The observer notices that there's more, right? That the happening, right? My mind's always gonna follow what's loudest, right? Unfortunately for human development, what's loudest tends to be what's the most threatening, right? So my mind's gonna follow threat, right? Way more than ease, because threats existentially louder, right? Relief, who needs relief, right? So I'm gonna accept anyone that's beginning to truly age. Oh my God, I need to study relief, man. I got nothing left to prove, right? So my legs are going wide, if you can't tell. So I'm just trying to open up the tanks, man. Open up the floodgates, let more in. Going again for some rhythm, right? Like, oh, let openness receive rhythm, right? Don't just open with your mind. By the way, your mind fundamentally resists being open. Can't, if it's too open, it doesn't get to control stuff. Without control, a mind doesn't know it exists. My mind's not ready for me to kiss the tree from distance. Or not kiss, I think touch. Kiss seems too something, too new agey, right? I just want to touch the tree, right? But I want to include a sense of openness, right? And get it like grounded and kind of just some rhythm again, right? As you know, this is like the warm-ups I like to do, right? Like getting some of this more open, right? And then the contrast to the midline again, right? Feel it here, and then feel it, okay, there's my legs just as they hang out. Here's me going into midline, my bringing to it. Now I'm going to add my spine. And I'm going to watch the different layers, right? Here's like the compression of my spine. Now, if I lean forward and bring my legs slightly together, I get the midline. If I do all that, lean forward and lift my chest, right? Then something else has happened. So I'm going to watch the contrast between empty space that causes heaviness, I'm collapsed, to using that empty space as the leader of the pose. So alignment, forward, lift, right? So the difference between a yoga pose and a not yoga pose is that the empty space in my body when I'm just, right? The empty space is not an observer, right? It's just heavy. So I start to do a couple of things to change that. Forward, up. Then you start going, boy, I'm pretty close to a couple of poses, like upward facing dog, right? So now I'm going to try to find that. I'm going to increase the grounding. I'm going to push down on my legs. And before I lift my chest, I'm going to hit down with my sitting bones and try to make space in my low back. Right? So I'm pushing down and I'm going up. And as soon as I push down and go up, I want to find my heels. I want my legs in this pose. Right? And then I'm going to like turn on the fireworks and I'm going to lift my chest and open. And as soon as I lift my chest, I broaden here, right? So I'm going to collapse again and go back to the sack, go back to the heaviness, go back to how disability always feels, right? When you're managing your day, when your mind thinks it's in charge, your mind cuts you off from nourishment. It's amazing. It gets you through your day, but it tends to turn off the spigot, right? So now I'm going to like reground again and go, wait. So I'm going to ground. But I'm waiting for my empty space to receive. Right? So now I'm forward. Remember, I'm trying to make space in my low back. So I'm hitting down with my sitting bones and lifting my very low abdomen slightly up. But as I do that, I'm hitting down through my heels. So I'm grounding it. So there's already, before I lift my chest a little bit, I can't not once it starts happening. But I want you to get that there are parts to here. So the mind can only realize if it breaks things apart, right? So I'm forward, I'm grounding, I'm going down, I'm lifting up. As I lift up, I realize my legs come more in the pose. I start to lift my chest. And then instead of just lifting my chest this way, I start to expand horizontally. I add a horizontal extension. As soon as I do, I start to lose my legs. So I got to repose. The yoga pose is either fundamentally won or lost in the beginning of the pose. Good. And they say, oh, you can't lose a yoga pose. Yeah, that's the nice thing to say, but I can lose some of the maximal potential of congruence if I'm sloppy in the beginning. Right? So I'm coming back in, I'm making this a yoga pose. I'm going down, up, down through my legs, catch it with my chest, broaden across the collarbones. I'm going to add my head and go up. Coming close, and now the shoulder blades going down, coming closer to upward facing dog. Stay grounded though, stay open. Make the empty vessel full. Include your effort. Good, and then release. So I don't know about you, so release for a second. So on this next one, I want you to try to pay attention to some things because your mind is slow to realize what's happening, right? I can tell you when I increased my voice and tried to get you to do upward facing dog harder, right? I can tell you what happened in my body. In my body, one shoulder blade worked harder than the other. One side of my rib cage was more pronounced than the other. And I was slightly off balance. So my effort ended up splintering off and causing strain, right? Because that's the pattern, the unconscious pattern, how my mind engages the body. Mind, you can't solve a problem from the same level that created the problem. That's Einstein. Your mind can't fix this. Your body has to, right? So now you're going to do the same pose again. And you're going to try to catch your habits, but not with your judging mind. Receive the sensations, right? So, and that's why you practice a whole bunch. So here we're going to try it again. I'm coming forward a little bit. And now I want to, this gets so serious. I want to have a little playfulness here. So I'm rocking back and forth going, damn it, I need not to be so freaking serious in here because I'm about to be really serious, right? I can already tell one shoulder blade rolls out. I got to also, I'm being aware of all the things that are misaligned, right? My mind's going to freak out if I stay there too long, right? So I need to get playful, okay? So now I'm going to hit down with my sitting bones, lift my very low abdomen up. I'm going to go down through my legs to do that. I'm going to come forward a little more forward, right? And as I get that extension and that fundamental down and up in the beginning of the pose, and I'm going to start to lift my chest. I'm going to broaden across the collarbones. And now, as I start to get that, which shoulder blades engaging more, which sitting bones heavier, which side of your rib cage is turned, right? So now I'm going to go, oh dear, I suck at yoga. I give up. No, no, that's not true. You're not perfect. I've been doing yoga a long time and I still suck at upward facing dog. It's not balanced all the way. It's okay. I'm going to try it again. You know how I can tell I'm offline? I start to fatigue in one place of my body more than the other. Right? All right. So I'm coming forward again. I'm doing the whole thing. Great. Coming to the pose. Oh, there's that place. There's that place. I overgrip this end of the shoulder blade and I start cranking the shit out of it. I'm going to go to the other side and it's going to make me smile. I'm going to be less effective, what I thought was effective in the pose, but I'm going to be happier because I'm balanced. Then I'm going to go up from both sides of my chest. Look up, hit down. Oh, I fell back into the pattern again. God damn it. Right? I got to re-pull back and let the space teach the pose. Right? Not my strain. Good. And then release. Think how freaking goofy it is that we think that strain in a pose could ever teach the pose. What happened there? Who ever told us that somehow strain taught anything? Right? That's not ever what's going to bring you to grace. Right? You still have to figure out how to have grace and effort. So the relationship is different. So I'm going to do some back bending here. This way again. Right? I might throw in a little bit of twist in here. So inhale up and go to the other side because I'm like thinking, I better not get too serious again. Maybe make it a little fun for God's sakes. So I'm grabbing one knee. I'm leaning forward and I'm opening it up. I'm turning. Hey, crap, I think I'll throw this in here too. Because why wouldn't I? Like, why wouldn't I just get bigger in space? Let the skin on my hand touch the empty space in the room. Remember, your skin's an ear. So I'm actually hearing the space by using more of my skin. Good, and then come on back. I'm going to do it the other way in a second. But when I went this way, I saw a moth in my wall. And I'm thinking it's going to get into my sweaters. But there's nothing I can do about it. Anyone get distracted in yoga poses? I do all the time. My mind's afraid of it. So I noticed the moth, right? Forward. Grabbing. I saw that moth on my ceiling later. Let's hope it doesn't make it to my sweaters. Right? So I'm forward here. I'm ready to turn. Right? And then I'm thinking, why don't I just like use my skin to hear more space? I'm going to move my arm. If you can't move your arm up, I don't care. Don't. Right? Remember, it's about the spine. Remember, it's the spine that kisses the tree, not where your arm is. Good. And then release. Back to the midline. Ooh. Kind of twisted there for a second. Holy cow. Right? So I'm coming back to the Tadasana, bringing my legs in together. I'm feeling it. I'm coming forward. I'm lifting my chest. I'm going to kind of quick visit upward facing dog without so much effort. I'm going to do it with rhythm. Right? I'm just going to like do a drive-by. Then I'm going to start going back and forth to each leg, right? I don't know about you, and I think this is maybe my bias in my body, but you got to figure out what your bias in your body is. Your mind's bias in your body is that when I try to like shake and bake my legs, put more rhythm out through one knee and then the other, so kind of I'm trying to move my spine and my knees forward together. I can do one knee better than the other. Does anyone have that same type of feeling? So I could either go, man, you suck. How come your right knee doesn't come forward as well? Well, if I'm really paying attention and I'm letting in all the input because I'm more of an observer of the space rather than a judger of the space, I can tell that my inability to move my right knee forward as well has to do with a whole bunch of adhesion and tension right here in this part of my rib cage. So instead of like castigating my right knee for not coming much more in rhythm, maybe I'm going to keep it company by holding my rib there. Right. So if you've got one knee that doesn't come forward as well or as easy, like try to keep it company. Don't blame it. And then I'm going to keep that finger there and I'm going to go back and forth and start shaking, banking my knees again. Oh, and coordinating my spine. Oh, letting it be a little bit fun here for a second. What the heck? Wait. Pretty soon, all of a sudden, I feel like, God, am I maybe like skating on a rink? And having, you know how those speed skaters lean forward with their hands behind them and they let one stride out and then another? Oh my God, I might be actually speed skating now. Because I'm going and you know, when you're speed skating, you have that one, they do these long, wonderful strokes, you know, they like one knee comes out and they go real far and then they initiate. So I'm gonna start going, wait. I'm gonna like, whew, wait, is that wind in my hair? Can I feel that? I think I might. And so you people that don't live in Minnesota, like you probably don't know what skating is. Oh well. Right. So you just are going back and forth. Maybe you can compare it to getting paddled or paddling a canoe. You know, when you first paddle the canoe and there's that glide you hit through and you go, whew. There's a glide here as one of the knees come forward. Right. So by feeling the swoosh of the movement, oh my God, am I including more space in the pose? Or am I just imagining space? I think I might be collapsing the space between subject and object. Oh, and if I'm going to glide, can I glide pretty well if I keep my chest dropped? Probably not. Right? So as I do the canoe or the speed skater, right? I make sure it's my chest that's gliding too, not just my knees. I start to make the coordination happen from hip to hip. What? What the hell? Make your legs wide again. Whoosh. All of a sudden, I'm going to lean one way and have it be like a Matisse brushstroke. Whoosh. When he's doing the dancer, the one, you know, he has like 3 brush strokes and it's a ballerina, right? Whoosh. Do you think that he got lucky with those 3 brush strokes? Or do you think it came from an incredible amount of practice? Whoosh. Whoosh. As I push down, I'm like, can I feel my groins opening? Yes, if I'm the observer. If I'm receiving rather than doing, yes. Your mind can't be the receiver. Your mind has to get out of the way to be the receiver. It has to quiet down. Something else has your eyes. It's not your mind. It's not your eyes. Right? It's something else. Back to the midline. Back to Tadasana. Wow, I wasn't liking that feeling. Whoops. You should practice this sometimes. I just have a whole practice be led by what feels good. Right? Okay, I'm going to sit here for a second. And I'm thinking, this was all fun. But I think my spine compressed a little bit in all this movement. So I'm just going to lift up. And then go back down. And then I'm going to practice space in my low back again. I'm going to do what's not possible. I'm going to lift up and let my spine extend down like a slinky. And then when I go set myself back down, forces that pulled me up, I'm going to resist and keep my spine long, even as it's compressing, even as I land back down. So here we go. What? And if you think this is just in your head, you need to stop coming to my class, right? Because if you limit it to your head, it's too bad. You can keep coming. So here I am long. I'm going to keep my chest lifted the whole time as I set myself back down slowly. Keep it lifted, keep it lifted, keep it lifted, keep it lifted. Don't give up, don't get up. Push the rock back up the hill. Don't give up. Oh, there goes the rock. But I can remember the boulder's going back down the hill, but I can remember the extension. I'm not locked in one time. There's space here. There's space here. I'm not just in one body. I'm not just in one time. I'm all of them. What? And then I'm going to let it go. Back to the sack of potatoes of disability. Back in the sack. The place where I know to grind from. But in this smaller sack, I'm going to remember to dance just a little inside the grinding sack. Right? Then I'm going to open the sack, lift my chest again. Why? You mean there's air outside of the sack? Yep. You mean in a second we're going to go speed skating again? Yeah, why not? Why wouldn't I do that? But I got to feel the whoosh, right? So even if you can't, the image of or paddling the canoe and getting that glide, right? We want that whoosh feeling, however you get it. So I'm going to go back to the rhythm of one knee out again. I'm going to start going back and forth. I'm going to try to get my shoulders and my legs to be in wholeness again. Now, for me to be connected between my upper body and my knees, I have to have space differently. I have to not try to control it so much, right? So I'm going back and forth. And even if you know you do this much, make it be your whole body. Make it be your whole body. If it helps you think of somebody or yourself pushing it on your own sacrum, do it, right? Make sure it's your whole body, right? So now we're going to take the legs wide again. Go away from the midline. Open to more of the happening, right? Gonna go over this way. Whoosh. So there's gonna be I'm gonna trust gravity. But I'm holding over here because I'm not dumb. Whoosh, I fall. But I make the fall part of the whoosh. Whoosh. And then I'm gonna remember the backside. Right? So as wouldn't it just be like yoga, right? As you're whooshing this way, you have to expand the other way, right? Yeah, that'd be a yoga pose. So I fall, I lift my chest, I whoosh, I open the back direction, and then my back body, my front body is whoa. You mean it's like realizing there's blue sky in a pose. You get all caught up in making the actions work. You forget that there's blue sky the whole time. Here's the spine whoosh, the open. Oh, you mean there was blue sky the whole time? Yeah, and it's the front and the sun's hitting behind me into my back. Yeah, actually. Yeah, the whole time. Then I'm gonna do it a little faster. Whoosh. Damn it, one side goes better than the other. That's not fair, right? Oh well. I'll survive. Whoosh. Forward. Do a little bit of a back bend with your legs wide. Oh. Not a lot of back bends with your legs wide, by the way. That's not a typically good pattern for your back. Come back to midline. Oh, I haven't even looked at the clock in quite a while. Oh, we got time. Thank goodness. We got time. Put your hands back down on the table or on your legs. So I'm gonna okay, so let's think about how this builds, right? So there's an observer. So let's just back up for a second. Those of you that are about to be rewarded for being in the last few classes, okay? So Beakus calls this intelligence, but when he says when the floor of your brain descends into silence as the life force rises, then the intelligence, the energy, is released through your whole body. Let's call that intelligence the observer. It's not a judging observer. It's, say, water's filling into a field. It's not the water, it's not the earth in the water, it's you're the whole field and something's happening, right? So the observer imposes is being part of the happening. It's not a point of view. Okay, so now you're sitting here and you're getting your hands here, and your hands are, we're going to do a dog pose. And so I put my hands in front of me, my spine's collapsed. So now I can tell you that the light, or Beakus talks about the water hitting the inside of the jar. The water, when I'm collapsed like this, it's not hitting my whole body from inside out, right? I can kind of feel it because I know when the world is heavier. So now I'm going to try to figure out how to, by spreading the palms on my hands, I'm going to use that to open my chest. What? Don't forget, it's the empty space that touches the tree. So as soon as that starts to happen, does anyone feel the sitting bones light up and the legs light up? Oh, go back to collapsing, right? Have it become now. Hands open, chest. The pose starts to happen. Wait, I'm by upward facing dog again. How did this happen? I'm by cobra again. And then the claps. Right? Water needs to be directed, and that's what asana is trying to do. Instead of it just being deadened, it's being spread. So notice if I'm not leaning forward, if there isn't a hinge at the top of the hips, if I try to lean back in my chair and put my hands on the table and do downward facing dog, I can do it if I'm behind the gravity point. It's not the same. I haven't used gravity to help my mind receive what's happening. So now I'm going to go back and come forward. So I'm pulling my chair back so I come forward. Right? And now, instead of just opening my palms, I'm going to lift also the underside of my arms. But I'm going to keep my hands going down. So in other words, I'm bringing the muscle towards the bone in my arms. I'm utilizing space between the muscles and the bones. Then I'm going to lift my chest. Then I'm going to hit my sitting bones down. Then I'm going to extend from the inner groin to the inner knee down to the inner heel. And I'm going to breathe. The pose just came online. Then I'm going to let it drop. And I'm going to wonder, I don't want to live in one world or the other. I want to live in both worlds. Where the pose is coming online and there's a drop. I'm just pausing here to like take in the implications of this. Good gracious. I'm looking at all the people here for a second. Kelly, I didn't see it. I guess you're here last week. I'm glad you're here. Okay, so I'm going to sit here and ground. So now I'm leaning forward and I'm in a position where I'm going to kind of similar. My elbows are on the table. I'm kind of similar to downward facing dog and to up dog. But I'm going to practice symmetry here. Wait, there's that one shoulder blade that, and me that goes kitty wampus. Oh, there's that turn in my rib cage that I already been traveling through. I'm going to straighten out. Oh, there's a little bit more less weight and pressure going through my left sitting bone than my right. So I'm going to try to just quickly kind of go like, oh, now did I think all those thoughts or did the observer just let me know what was happening? And I'm going to breathe. So I'm trying to practice symmetry to bring into Shavasana. And I'm letting the observations of the inputs that were already there guide my actions. I'm listening to what's happening and then release. Now I'm going to try to add this symmetry to the symmetry. I'm going to let my chair hold me up. So I'm going to figure out how. I'm going to try to open enough to let the hum that is me, that happens not in the places I control, the hum comes from somewhere else and travels through my muscles if my mind can shut up. So the hum actually starts to pervade all of me. The support, the sensation of support. You want support to hold up what you can't control and then let it go through what you can control. So you're listening. So lips together, teeth slightly apart. The jaw, soften it. Skin on the forehead. Relax the belly to relax the throat. Wait, that makes me smile. Apparently, I've been talking a lot. As I come into Shavasana, I can tell that I'm thirsty. What about you? I don't know if it's thirst or whatever it is. These aren't thoughts. This is actually what's happening. Balance your head over your neck. Let go. Feel your breath. Don't change it. Thank your body. Thank it again. Start to bring yourself back. Slightly longer inhalation. Slightly longer exhalation. When you're ready, open your eyes. And then close them again. And then open your eyes and open your chest. Good. There it was, the whirlwind tour of bizarreness. Lots. I do think space might be the connective tissue, so beware. It's very cool. That's what I think when he says, Bacon Singer says, imagine like, or allow, not imagine, allow that your skin or that your skin has eyes both looking outward and looking inward. I think that he's trying to get you to see something there. That the gaze, that the space itself is the defining part, the leading part of the asana. Right? And so it's like, wait, I can't believe how much I live my life with my head off balance. No wonder my muscles are sore. Wait, it's not my fault. I got scoliosis. Correct, but damn, I should do this once in a while. And smile and go, God, that feels kind of good. Right? Like, because I always tilt my head this way. All right, everybody.